So when we're harvesting the flowers, we want to cut the stems and strip the leaves from the bottom 3/4 of the stem before you put them in the bucket of water. That's going to give them less work to do to keep hydrated. And so it's good to wear a pair of gloves because you're, for the action of stripping them off the leaf. So this is off the stem. So we're going to do it now. We're going to cut down here, and then you just strip the bottom leaves off. It seems a bit brutal, but that gives them a much better chance of staying hydrated. You can tuck them under your arm to till you've collected everything you want. Cut another one, strip it from the bottom, tuck it under your arm, cut another one, strip the bottom leaves. Everyone's slightly different and slightly easier, or not. Tuck it under your arm, and then when you've got a bunch of them together, then you can pop them into a bucket of water and keep your bucket of water in the shade until you're ready to take it away. So once we've got all the flowers into buckets of fresh, clean water in the field, we bring them here under the shelter to do a bit more prep on them. And that's because some of the flowers need a little bit of extra care and attention to make them look as good as they can. So for example, these bells of Ireland have leaves sticking out, but what you're really wanting to focus on is the bells. So you just need to snip the leaves away to show the bells to their best sort of advantage. And it's a bit fiddly, and you have to be careful not to snip the actual flower bits. So it does take time, but it's worth it because these are a lovely flower. The customers really like them. They smell great. They last a long while. There's an amazing smell. I wish you could smell it. So you're just snipping off these little leaves, and then it just makes the actual bells more defined, and then you pop them back into water. And the other one are amaranth. They've got their leaves flop quite badly often, and so again it shows off the sort of tassels and the bit of the flower that you're actually wanting to focus on. So a little bit of extra prep. So then the final bit of prepping we like to do is to divide up the blooms for the bigger bunches into equal shares. Because we've got so few, it just helps us to know that we've got the same amount of stuff in each bunch. So we divide them up like this into 3, and then we have the smaller ones for the jam jar flowers. When we come to make up those jam jar flowers, we'll do the same thing. We'll divide that collection of shorter stems into 5 bunches for each jam jar flower. And the ones you can see in the background there, that's the snapdragons that have been wrapped overnight to make the stems stand up straight. When everything's prepped, we then put it in our case we put it in the yurt overnight. It's a cool shaded place, so they stay there drinking water, conditioning, and then we bring them out the next morning to make them up into bunches and jam jar flowers for the customers.
Here we are the morning after we've picked the flowers, and we're going to make up the bunches for sale. We don't do too artistic floristry here. We tend to do more of a bunch of flowers. We like to try and keep the cost down, so we don't want to spend too much time making the bunches. We start by lining up the flowers, and we put them in the different shapes and forms. We've got like fillers, we've got spires, we've got discs and focal flowers, and then we just start by taking the flowers and placing them into our left hand and keeping the groups together, the different flowers together. We try and keep the heads at a similar height so that the bunch can be transported easily. Flowers have been in water overnight, hydrating. So we want to keep them as fresh as possible. Our flowers are not uniformly straight, so can be slightly challenging sometimes. And we've noticed that you need to have very strong hands to hold all the stems. It's quite big, the bunch, in the end. So that's the bunch. And then we tie the stems with raffia. And we use all biodegradable packaging. We use the brown craft paper, and then tie it again with more raffia. So we use the brown paper to package the flowers to protect them, and we also add a small posy into the jar as well. We do 3 bunches twice a week for our customers, and they come to collect them from our houses. They can arrange them themselves when they get home or just leave them as they are. We also do these jam jar flowers, which are sold at local shops and a nursery at a cheaper price. And then after we've done them all, we load them up into the van and car and deliver them to the shops and take them to our homes for people to collect.
And we want people to come and help us grow and work with the flowers, and that includes volunteers, people with learning difficulties, people with mental health challenges, and people wanting work experience. And we thought we'd finish with a quote from one of our customers who said, "To my mind, this holistic approach to enjoying flowers whilst doing a bit for the planet, wildlife and humankind is a beautiful thing."